person.
"Wendy is back," the sign said. It caught his eye. It was a hand-printed sign and fairly crude. Not that he was a man who objected to crudity. Crayon lettering on a piece of cardboard. "Wendy is back," it said. The sign was in a window of an orthopedic shoe store on a dim back street in downtown Winnipeg. He passed it one morning on his way to the office, and the image of the sign and all the questions it raised stayed with him, printed as it were on the back wall of his eye. Who is Wendy? Where has she been? Why is she back? And why is her return such a cause of joy? Now I'm going to break this for a commercial announcement before I continue the story. Because as I look around this room, I see so many friends and people from our 20 years of living in Winnipeg, Carol and I. And I see some of her students, Dorothea, who came all the way from Kenora, and Marjorie and Carol used to have lunch together, and when I went to join them, they would say, "Just go away." We were having a good chat. And I see Charles Eubank here, who was a neighbor, and Charles and Mickey were the ones who introduced us to so many people in this town and got us involved in so much. And when the President Axworthy was talking about his time at Chow Cafe, what he didn't say was that earlier on, partway through that kind of Saturday morning love affair, he asked Carol to join Canada Council. So from that time on, I think sometimes on Saturday morning he must have been sorry, because one of the things she would get him for with her fingers was, "How about more money for Canada Council?" So the other part of this commercial break is that we wouldn't be here, I don't think, and the Shields family would not have made this donation without the hard work and the idea of the University of Winnipeg's own Carol Harvey. So Carol, thank you. And I'm pleased to see that Brian Daly and his group are trying to continue this Writer-in-Residence program, and I do wish them well. When I look down the list of the 9 writers that have been chosen, the Shields family is very pleased. So I'm reading from Carol's short story, yes, Love So Fleeting, Love So Fine, and where we've got now is this man is walking to work and he sees this sign in the window. And so he says to himself, who is Wendy? Where has she been? Why is she back? And why is her return the cause of joy? Joy, there was no other word for it. The sign taped flat against the plate glass window was a joyful announcement, a public proclamation, reinforced too by its light, high floater of an exclamation point, that fond crayon slash of exuberance, testifying to the fact that Wendy's return, whether from visiting her grandmother in Portage or from vacationing with a girlfriend in Hawaii, was an event worthy of celebration. The question was, why? She would be about his age, he reasoned, which was 30. Nobody over 30 was named Wendy, at least nobody he'd ever met. But where had she been? Perhaps she'd been sick. Flu was going the rounds, a persistent strain. He himself had missed 3 days at work only the week before. And now his wife had come down with it. Or an operation, perhaps. Impossible. It was more likely that she had been sent away to Toronto or Montreal, to St. Catharines, perhaps, for a job upgrading course, of some obscure community college, specializing perhaps in the modern fitting of difficult feet. He mused as he walked along on what a narrow specialty it must be, the fitting of orthopedic shoes. But necessary, of course, and how, like chimney cleaning or piano tuning, it was a vocation whose appeal to youth might not be immediately apparent. Undoubtedly, she, Wendy, had come back from the East with a new sense of buoyancy, brimming with the latest theories and tips, which she now felt eager to pass on to her customers. It was easy to see that her popularity with customers was established. The store manager, a fatherly type, might even refer to it as phenomenal. Else, why this sign in the window? And why the Christmas bonus already set aside for her? Customers doubtless experienced an upsurge of optimism at the sight of her wide blue eyes. Or, hearing her cheery early morning, "Hello there!" Her particular humor would be difficult to pin down, being neither dry nor witty, but consisting rather of a wink for the elderly gents and broad teasing compliments for the ladies. "These shoes will put you right back in the chorus line, Mrs. Beamish." They loved it. They lapped it up. How could they not help loving Wendy? By sheer banter, by a kind of chiding playfulness, she absolved her clients of the rasp of old calluses, the yellowness of soles, the damp dishonor attached to foot odor, foot foulness, foot ignominy. All this and more Wendy was able to neutralize, with forehead prettily creased, by means of her steady, unflinching manner. "These feet are only human," she would be ready to say if asked. "Tarsus and metatarsus, corn, callus, and nail, her touch is tender and without judgment." Willingly, she rises from her little padded stool and fetches the catalogue sent from the supply house in Pittsburgh, and happily she points to figure 42. This little laced Oxford doesn't look like much off, she concedes to Mrs. Beamish, but it really is smart on. Wendy, she was back, and he loved her. Thank you very much.